Sometimes we all have these two people inside of us. But there is a way of fixing those things, you know. You know, there was a study done in Russia. You gotta, where's my, okay. It's your people. It was your people. So it was a Russian scientist. He figured out how to cure people of bad behavior. I mean, this was on the news. I mean, I wrote it down. I was like, wow, that's amazing. That in the brain, he figured out that whenever somebody has to have so many reactions to their, what they call their endomorphin receptors, there's like 1,000 of them in your brain. And when you get those activated, you will change your behavior. And the way they figured out how to change the behavior in somebody is to hit them 60 times. 3 sets of 60. And it changes any addictive behavior and straightens out anybody. I kid you not. Now, I'm not saying that we're all going to do that, but it does work. I'm thinking, you know what? We ought to try this in government. It's like, you get somebody along and say, hey, man, where's my money? Well, you know, we made a decision here to invest in, nuh-uh, whack, where's my money? Okay, I'll tell you what, it's right, you know, and all of a sudden, they're going to be confessing everybody's sins. You'd be surprised the things that people respond to just on a natural level. We all have this inside of us. Now, David, I think, was probably the king of being, I think, the bipolar holy roller. Because if there was anybody ever who had two people running around inside of him, it was David. Now, here's the deal. This is a guy that could write poetry. As the deer pants after the water brook, so my soul pants after thee, O God. I mean, like wee Willie Winky. Jack Sprat could eat no fat, you know. One jumped over the candlestick. I mean, it's like he's a poet. Sweet, tender, soft-hearted. But then he could face Goliath. And all of a sudden, he goes from wee Willie Winky to Scarface. I mean, you think about it, when he went out to go face Goliath, it was after that event that they started to call him the most feared man in all of Israel. And it wasn't just because he threw a slingshot. I mean, this guy, he nailed him in the forehead, caved his forehead in, he dropped forward. Then he took his own sword out, cut the guy's head off, and said, oh, so this is your boy? That's gangster right there. You tell me, you send in your baddest hombre to go take care of business for you, and the guy he's going after comes out with your hombre's head saying, is this the guy you sent for me? Or let's see what he's got to say. So what you got to say? He got nothing to say. Blood drip, that is ruthless. Here's a guy who struggled between one and the other. Now, I'm going to give you an example as we look through the psalm, and we're going to scroll right up to that particular psalm to give you an idea of what it takes sometimes to identify and to find out where the difference lies in our lives, because it has to do with relationship. You can't just know about God, you got to know him. Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness. Now, if the only thing you know about God is the things that he does for you, the things that he takes care of for you, blesses you with, if that's the only thing you know about him, you don't know him. Amen. Personally. There's not a relationship there. Because that's what David's saying. It's almost like, if I was David, I'm standing here, I'm talking to you, it's like the Lord's over here, and I'm telling you about what he does for me. I'm saying, do you know what he does for me? Man, I'll tell you what, he's my shepherd. He takes care of everything. He watches at my back all the time. He makes me to lie down in green pastures because he knows I'm a sheep and I like green pastures as opposed to brown ones. You know, he leads me beside still waters because he knows I get nervous when the water is running, and sheep don't drink from crazy brooks. They have to drink from still waters, so he finds still waters for me. I mean, he's thinking about stuff for me that I'm not even thinking about. I mean, he restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness. He's thinking about where I'm going before I ever get there. He hooks me up. Then something happens. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. What does he say? It's no longer he, for you are with me. He goes from he to you. For you are with me. Your rod, and it comforts me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. I mean, all of a sudden, when you go through the valley of the shadow of death, when you go through a situation that only God can deliver you from, it could be a financial situation. It could be something in your family that nothing can solve. Nothing you have thought of has solved the issue. And you're like so desperate, you have to cry out to God. And it's the valley of the shadow of death. All of a sudden, it's no longer he. It's you. And he's not concerned so much about where he's going to get his favorite grass or his favorite book or his head being anointed with oil. He's really concerned about his relationship. You are with me. Your rod and your staff, they come from me. That's a symbol of the word and the spirit. All of a sudden, he gets personal. And sometimes God answers those questions in a way that's not necessarily what we had originally planned. Because we all have people and situations in our lives we want to get rid of. I mean, truthfully, right? Don't you have somebody at work, at school, that just messes up everything? And if they could just get rid of that person, everything would be great. You know, I remember I was staying one of the places at TBN. There's of course they have places you can stay, and there's one lady, some neighbor, and always complaining. Complains to the police about every stuff that doesn't even exist. They just complain about. And it's like, what is up with this person? I mean, when are they going to just give up? And sometimes you say, Lord, why don't you just get rid of them? Make our lives so much easier. We have that one person that's in the class that if we could just get rid of this one person, it would be so great here. Everybody would be so happy and full of love, and we'd enjoy each other. If we could just get rid of this one person from the job, everything would be so cool. We'd all laugh. We don't have to all be quiet when they walk in the room. It's like, God, just get rid of them. And sometimes the Lord says, you know what? I have something better. Tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to really work this thing. I'm going to prepare a table before you. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to hook you up. I'm going to be all over your life. And I'm not going to get rid of them. I'm going to do it in the presence of your enemy. I'm going to force them by allowing their own anger to take control of them. And let them stay and have to watch you be blessed. If they had any sense, they would get up and run. But since they ain't got no sense, well, let them just sit around and watch you have a nice, good meal. Watch your family be blessed. Watch your ministry be blessed. Watch your life be blessed. Watch the fact that you can deal with them, but they can't deal with you. He prepares a table before us, even in the presence of our enemies. Then he scrolls down. Now we're seeing that this David, he's got, if there's ever been a bipolar holy roller, a guy that fluctuates between extremes, a guy that's, you know, he's 1 minute he's out killing the giant, next minute he's, you know, running around with Bathsheba. I don't think he had too much running around. He just looked over and said, well, see, the problem was, this is at a time when kings were supposed to go out to war, David stayed home. See, when you're supposed to go to war, you're supposed to go to work, you're supposed to be busy, you should be busy. Because if you're not, trouble's going to find you. Sooner or later, you're going to look out the window, there's going to be something there that you're going to want that's not supposed to be yours. It's going to get your life all complicated. And that's what happened. But David was one of those guys. It didn't mean that he was a bad king, or doesn't mean that he was still wasn't the most feared man of Israel. Just means he had a weakness he took with him to the top that never got fixed, never really got worked on, and somewhere along the way that thing came knocking on the door. So he comes to the place where he says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I'm thinking, if anybody knows the deeper meaning of that, it's got to be him, because obviously these came from him. You know what it doesn't say? It doesn't say surely goodness and justice. It says mercy. See, we love justice. Every TV show that we really like is all about justice. Finding a bad guy. CSI and all those TV shows that we watch that have, they're out hunting the bad guy down. We all want to see the bad guy get caught because we're all about justice. But we don't really want to watch shows about mercy. However, we need mercy if we're going to live this life. David says, in order to have the goodness of God, you have to have mercy following you. You do not want justice following you. You will not be able to leave this parking lot without backsliding. Justice will find everything you've done wrong. And if you don't think that there's people that haven't done anything wrong, you just don't know enough about them. Everybody's got flaws. And some of them are bigger than others. Some of them have been able to work around those flaws and still get work done for God anyway. Ultimately, you'll wind up seeing a lot of these people are the real heroes because they didn't allow their weaknesses, they didn't allow their frailties, they didn't allow their mistakes to stop them from going on with God. Say, I'm still going to serve God. I'm going to do what God's called me to do. I'm going to work on these things as I go. I do not want them to be a part of my life, but it's not going to stop me. Some of you here tonight have been stopped. You've been stopped in your tracks because of things that you know are wrong in your life, that are inconsistencies in your life. Yes, God does want to work them out. Yes, he does want to heal them. Yes, he does want to restore you, but he doesn't want you to put your life on hold. He doesn't want you to become inactive and unproductive. I'm talking to somebody here tonight, maybe somebody at home. You have a gift, you have a call of God, you have a vision for something. And you're being short-circuited because you keep thinking about where you've been and all the mistakes that you've made. Amen. Folks, if I had to just look back over my life and all the mistakes I've ever made and all the weaknesses I've had, I could never stand up here. I could never help anybody. I couldn't even encourage myself. You know, I mean, I did not grow up in church.